Has everybody seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life? You know, the Christmas movie with Jimmy Stewart, and how he wishes he was never born because he's all in debt and shit like that. Well, anyway, I was thinking about that today because I remember that the nemesis, the bad guy, was the old guy, Mr. Potter, and he was a rich guy, he was a banker guy, and he owned a lot of property in the town, and he owned a lot of residential property, and he had a lot of renters, and, it was substandard, and poor people lived there, and they really couldn't get ahead because he charged them way too much, way more than it was worth, but that was really their only option because they couldn't buy anything because they had to have a huge amount of money down in order to get a loan from the bank. Well, then, the building and loan came along with George and his family, and the building and loan takes in money like a bank does, but it lends it out to people who maybe don't have quite as much to put down in a house. They actually do the building. They work with the building builders. Anyway, I was thinking about Mr. Potter and all of his residential places and how great that looked. It really looked terrible. When I heard Mitt Romney had said that the way that we should fix the financial crisis is that we should or the foreclosure crisis, is we should just let it happen. It should just happen. Just let it flow like it's some sort of natural thing. And then let all these investors come in and buy all the properties and then fill them with renters. And that's what I thought, well, a rich guy would think that. That would be really cool because, especially if they're people who've been foreclosed on, their credit rating's really crappy, so you can probably charge them a lot of money and you don't really have to do a lot of work on the home. They're not going to complain. They're going to be happy to be there. Is that right, though? I mean, is that what y'all think? Is that what everybody else thinks? Is that what we should do? We shouldn't renegotiate the loans. We shouldn't bring some of these interest rates down on people who are trying to pay their mortgage but have been charged an astronomical interest rate and could now have it at like 4%, sometimes 3%, which would then put money in their pockets, and then they would be able to spend it, and then the economy could start moving. Should we just let everybody foreclose? I just thought that was ridiculous. And then the president's bill today about helping to fund firefighters, cops, and teachers, and Mitch McConnell called it a bailout and said it was a bad idea. His first bailout he thought was a bad idea. I guess it's because it didn't go to rich guys who were then going to lobby him and, give him a lot of money. I thought that was kind of amazing. But this is kind of what they're going for. You know what I mean? This is kind of... Large companies have more money than they've ever had before, and they're not spending it on their employees because, well, there's no demand for products, and people will work for a lot less. You know what I mean? People will work for anything because they're all afraid of losing their jobs. So companies are holding on to the money, and they're like, this is sweet. We can keep the workforce low, which makes people fight for these jobs, and so we can make even more money because we don't have to pay out as much. Is that what we want? That's not what we want. And that's what Occupy Wall Street and Occupy whatever city you're in is trying to do. They're all fragmented, and the one here in Atlanta is just dreadful. But it's the right idea, and it's part of what the Tea Party was talking about. It was the only part of the Tea Party that I agreed with, and it's what we need to do. So we need to get together, otherwise we're all going to be living in Pottersville.